Yeah, so people need, I think if people are consciously aware of what those different impacts are within society and within their environment, they're going to understand a little bit better on what those effects, how they affect their life and the trajectory and the pathway of their life. So one of those things which is key is potential, a person's potential. That potential doesn't have to be dictated to by your environment. You can have a very, very positive role in relation to the nurturing of your child in the very early days. And this is key, because by doing that, you're sticking closer to what is the truth. And the truth is going to enable and set up for, and build and develop a pathway in which that child will flourish, your child will flourish. And that's extremely important. And it's very, very easy to understand. In which we change can be seen throughout society when we're watching football games, when they talk about professional sport, of which I was involved for 10 years professionally. And I understand the physiological change that took place in me to be able to do what I did. And so that was in the area of rifle shooting. And so we see those changes also taking place in other areas, such as with an astronaut when they go to outer space. They will maybe there for a couple of months, and they will inevitably lose significant bone density. And that's a physiological fact and a physiological event that is happening due to their environment and due to where they're living. We all see this in our day-to-day living, in the way in which we live. Either we're living sedentary lives where we're sitting down, or we're active lives where we start to develop aches and pains and things like that. So that interaction and that relationship between the way in which we live can have both a positive effect and a negative effect. And so with babies, and everybody, a lot of parents who are first-time parents won't have experienced this and maybe understood what actually happens. So a child's stomach is very, very small. And so the quantity of food and nutrition that can go in there is pretty little. It's not very much at all. And so we think about what development is. How do people physiologically develop? We understand that through activities and things like that, we can get change. It's the same with a child and same with a newborn baby, in that a newborn baby, if it's going to have 2 eyes, 2 arms, 2 legs, and the different features and things that are with it. But also what's happening is its internal system is growing and developing. And that internal system, sometimes things can go awry in relation to our environment in which that child is living in. And so we have to think about that briefly. So we know that genetics help us develop and give us the potential to develop. And now it's about experience and how experience plays a role in relation to that. So a child will have an experience during the waking hours, and then it'll go asleep, or it'll feed, have an experience during waking hours, and then go asleep. It's during that sleep time, which is imperative for human beings, that's when development and growth take place. And what steers that growth and steers that development is not just the genetics, it's also the experience. So if the experience is a positive one and a developmental one, then that child's potential is going to start to be realized. Very simply, it's going to start to grow and develop. And so as human beings, we can capture that. So sometimes people wonder how physiology and development and genetics play a role. Well, there are so many sports people out there who are maybe hypermobile, and that has an effect on their ability to be able to be good at what they're doing. So we have them out there in day-to-day life and day-to-day living activities. And so it's a matter of understanding that our child, who's 4 or 5 weeks old, has huge potential just in that space that they take at a 4 or 5 week old or 6 week old, and that continues for the rest of their life. And so I think as human beings, I think there's an onus of responsibility to try to help your child live to that full potential, and it's quite simple.